What's up, everybody? This your boy Sean, aka Puff Comics 83, and I am here because I wanted to do a special video that I've been wanting to do for a while. A couple weeks ago, I did a live stream showing off the slabs in my collection, my CGC slabs, my CBCS slabs, and after that, I've been wanting to do another video showing off some more things in my collection. This time related to Funko Pops. And when it comes to the Funko Pops, this is something that I really didn't want to get head on and trying to collect. I don't have a huge Funko Pop collection, but I do have quite a bit. And one of the things about Funko Pops is there's people out there that are addicted to collecting Funko Pops, and I was like, that's not an avenue that I want to fall into. As you can see on this side, I have a couple of statues, and most of the statues are pretty fairly priced. They're cheap statues. I don't really go for the super expensive statues. I do have maybe a couple of pieces that are expensive, but most of them are within the $30 to the $60 range. But with Funko Pops, I try to keep it at a minimum and just collect on what I really like on Funko Pops. And I remember when Funko Pops got popular, I didn't really understood it. Like these little miniature characters with big heads, and I was like, I really don't get the appeal of it. But the more and more years go by, it gets bigger and bigger, and people are just addicted to Funko Pops. And I only just looked at it as, I'll just get a few Funko Pops here and there, just of characters and franchises that I like the most. And quite honest, I'm glad I don't have a huge collection. My brother, Jace, he has a massive collection. And if you watch the Comic Call Crew, whenever we get together and he's on the show, you can see the side of the wall where he has all his Funko Pops. And he's got even more on the other part of that room. So yeah, it's an addiction that I try not to get into. But I have been picking up a lot of Funko Pops lately, and it's specifically to the characters that I like. Now I got a couple of pre-orders, and they haven't got here yet. They're supposed to ship out this month, but there is one character that I already got, and it's tied to what's pre-ordered and what's coming later this month. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna show off my loose Funko Pops, the ones that's unboxed and already out, and then I'm gonna show the ones that are still in box. So I'm gonna start off with this one, and this is a bobblehead Funko Pop. One of my favorite characters is the Punisher, and this is the Red Skull Thunderbolts version of the Punisher, and I thought it was a pretty, neat Funko Pop. And I didn't have a Punisher Funko Pop. He probably have quite a bit, but I was like, man, I got to have the Punisher one. And a bobblehead one is just icing on the cake, even though the Punisher don't bobble. Now these next set are more of one of my favorite cartoon series of the 90s, and that is Gargoyles. Disney's Gargoyles. Disney afternoon staple. Loved that show. And I remember when it came out, I was like, man, this is very unlike Disney to have a serious driving cartoon. One of the reasons they created it was to compete against Batman the Animated Series. But what they came up with was genius. So one of my favorite things is when they announced the set of Gargoyles Funko Pops, I was like, yeah, I'm pre-ordering it. I'm getting them because I love the cartoon. And I'm going to start off with old Broadway with his little meal. That's pretty awesome. And by the way, I want to give a shout out to Sheena, Melanin the Manga. She did an appearance on Gary B, the casual comic guy, and she showed off her Funko Pop collection. If you know Sheena of Melanin Manga, you know that she's a huge Funko Pop collector, and that video that she did with Gary B is what I really wanted to just know. And I know she loves seeing people's Funko Pop collection, so that's one of the reasons why I want to do this video. Hudson, Brooklyn, my home borough. Bronx. Like I said, I love the cartoon. Here's Lexington. Demona. The one thing I don't like about her Funko Pop, of all the Gargoyles Funko Pops, hers is the hard to stay standing because of how her feet are level. So every time I line them up together to stand together, she always be the one that's slumped over and fell over. So that's the only thing about the Demona Pop that I don't like. And of course, the leader himself, Goliath. Like I said, one of my favorite 90s cartoons. I still occasionally rewatch it. You know, I got the DVD set, seasons 1 and 2. They never put out season 3, which was the Goliath Chronicles, but ain't nobody really asking for the Goliath Chronicles, because that was when the show fell off. It moved to Saturday mornings, and it wasn't that good. I think only maybe a few episodes I liked, but overall, that was pretty much the end of the series. So, you know, that's my Gargoyles Funko Pop collection. So, moving on. So, up next is one of my favorite franchises. Is, you know, near and dear to my heart. And I get anything that I see of this franchise. And, you know, one of the things that we as collectors, we always gravitate towards our favorites. And one of the things that I know is whenever I see something of my favorite, I'm going to get it. And this ties into what I got pre-ordered coming up. Because I'm going to show all of my Funko Pops related to this franchise. And that's starting with this one here, because my name is Puff Comics 83. It used to be Stay Puff 1983 because of the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. That's right, Ghostbusters, my favorite franchise, something that's near and dear to my childhood, and it's fitting to start off with Stay Puft the Marshmallow Man. And you know, when they showed the Ghostbuster Funko Pops, I had to get them. It's Ray Stantz, Egon Spengler, Pete Venkman, make sure the camera don't get blurry. The Winston was a funny one, because I remember wanting to get all the Ghostbusters, but Winston they didn't sell separately. The only way you can get Winston is in a package deal with the Ecto 1. Now, of course, I got Winston in there. And then you got the Ecto 1. In its full glory. And this is neat. You know, I would have gotten this regardless, but I also would have bought Winston separately. But the fact that you can only get Winston with the Ecto 1, you may pay a little bit more money than the others, but it was weird that Winston came tied to the Ecto 1, which kind of plays into the changes they made in the real Ghostbuster cartoon, where they made Winston tied to the Ecto 1 in the later seasons, and that Winston needs to drive the Ecto-1. That was one of the main contentions why J. Michael Straczynski left the show, because they wanted to make changes and we'll make Winston drive, man. And it's weird because all the Ghostbusters drive the Ecto-1, but to tie Winston to be the driver of the Ghostbusters we know what the undertones was with that. So it's weird that they tied Ernie Hudson's character to the Ecto-1, but it's still a cool package. You get the Ecto-1, you get Winston, but it was just weird that the only way you can get Winston was to buy the Ecto-1 with it. And then another one I got, another package deal, I got Peter Venkman with the marshmallow on his head, at the end of Ghostbusters. But this one came with the firehouse, and it's awesome. I have Peter standing on top of the firehouse, and it's full of glory. And it came with a sticker that you put on top, so Ghostbuster sticker. And that was awesome. Another package. This is Movie Moments, the banquet room. This is Egon and Peter busting Slimer. Now I had this out of the box, and then something happened. I don't know how, but Slimer for some reason became loose on it, and I was like, man, just to not have more damage, I'll just put it back in the box. I could have gotten another one, but I just didn't feel like paying for another one. I'll just say I'll just keep it in the box and have it as my own. And I'm the type that, I have another Funko Pop that I got from Jace, and it was a little slight damage on it, so he got another one. I was like, man, just give me that one. I'll take it. I don't care. It doesn't really bother me because it's gonna stay in the box. But yeah, this was pretty awesome. I might still replace it, get another one, but at the time I ain't thinking it, and I still would just keep this one. But if another chance to get another one, I will get it, but it might be up in price. These came out earlier this year, and you know me, I had to get them. I showed them on the Comic Hall Crew Live, but the real Ghostbusters Funko Pops is Winston, Egon with the pompadour, then you have Venkman, Pete Venkman with Slimer, and Ray Stantz. That is awesome there. This is probably the biggest Ghostbuster pop I have, and it's another Stay Puft one. And it's shout out to Stone Cold Steve. He A-OK'd this one to me. Bam! An even bigger Stay Puft Funko Pop. Just massive. And like I said, I don't really buy these monster sized ones, but when Steve popped this up on me back in 2019, it was a awesome A-OK. And that was the first year we met, and he already knew what I was about. So shout out to Stone Cold Steve, man. And then the last thing, Ghostbuster related, and I may do a video when I get the pre-order ones. They announced a couple months ago that they were doing Ghostbusters 2 Funko Pops. And one of the things that I like about the Ghostbusters 2 Funko Pops is that they got them in their alternate uniforms, the black uniforms that they wore during that montage scene of the second film. And that was awesome. I always felt that those uniforms was underrated and that they could have utilized them in certain things, but of course we never got a Ghostbuster 3 at that time, so we never really got to see those uniforms outside of the montage. But they're doing those 4 Ghostbuster 2 Funko Pops, and they got Vigo the Carpathian. And this one I got earlier in the week. Yeah, this is what I'm talking about on the back. So I should be getting those Funko Pops within the next few weeks, because they ship out, I think, next week. Today's July the 4th. So I should be getting those next week. And by the way, happy Independence Day to all, 4th of July. Alright, so I'm through with the Ghostbusters, so I'm gonna show off some of the other Funko Pops that I have. And, you know, that'll be it. The Mandalorian. I know this is one of Steve's favorites, Steve Whiten, Stone Cold Steve. But yeah, I got this on the free comic book day sale. This one I got, I think, from Bruce and Stephanie Comics. This was one of their giveaways. Batman. This is the Red Rain Batman. Real sick. Pop heroes, but he don't look like a hero. He just looks Red Rain possessed. But yeah. Yeah, that's pretty awesome. A Wonder Woman Funko Pop. And then these this is one franchise that Jace, he got a good bit of these. So this is his Whale Alley. And I picked these up because they were on sale. And that is the Vegeta and Majin Vegeta. Again, Dragon Ball Z got so many Funko Pops that, again, that's a franchise that I'm not gonna try and get all of them. But these were sick, and that I got them on sale. I think it was, you know, at my shop, Epic Comics. If you're ever in Orlando, Florida, check out Epic Comics. But yeah, these are great, awesome. And then I got a couple more. Run DMC. And I gotta throw in Jam Master J. Rest in peace, Jam Master J. I had to get this whole set here. And yeah, this is one of my favorite hip hop groups as a kid growing up. You know, I played the hell out of the greatest hits. And last year I was fortunate to finally meet DMC. I thought about getting the Funko Pop signed, but you know, that would have been extra money to pay, and I already had a couple of signatures I got from him on his comic books and stuff. But it was awesome meeting DMC. It was great. It was a long time coming, because I've been a fan of his, you know, since I was a kid, and to see that he makes his own comic books, Down Makes Comics, I was like, man, you know, I've been supporting him and buying his comics, so it was just an awesome moment to finally meet up with him and shake his hand and talk about how much he meant to me as a kid, you know, listening to Run DMC and stuff, Walk This Way and King of Rock, all the lyrics, and driving my mother insane playing it in at the house. So it was awesome meeting DMC and taking a photo and getting him to shout out the Comic Hall crew. So yeah, awesome time meeting him. Another rapper that I have is Tupac Shakur, the Funko Pop. You know, again, like I said, there's multiple rappers out there that they have Funko Pops of. I'm not trying to buy them all, but when I see them for a good price, I can't pass it up. There's another one I want to show. Spider-Woman from the Spider-Verse movie. Across the Spider-Verse. I got that. Wrestling. You know me, I'm a big wrestling fan, and I saw this Macho Man. Ooh yeah! Had to get this. This was awesome. I got this earlier in the year. The American Dream. Dusty Rhodes. The son of a plumber. And last but not least, the group that changed the face of professional wrestling. The New World Order. Hulk Hogan, Scott Hall, and Kevin Nash. And like I said, I got these at my shop. Even with the sticker price, I got a percentage off because, you know, they had like 10% off Funko Pops. And then last but not least, this is the Funko Pop I was talking about earlier that, you know, Jay said had some damage to it and he was gonna send it back. And I was like, nah, give it to me. You know, they'll send him a new one and I get to keep the damaged one and I'll show the damage. And it's Sonic the Hedgehog number 2 from the video game. And as you can see, it's got a little scratch on the top of Sonic's dome. So he let them know about it and stuff. And I was like, yo, just give me this. I'll have it. Because Sonic is one of my favorite characters. And it's one of his favorite characters as well. That's why he's, you know, actively trying to hunt down the entire Archie comic run. Especially the earlier runs. You know, the earlier issues. But I was like, man, just hand that over to me. And I'll keep it because I love Sonic myself, and you know, think of you see Sonic and the music hits, you know, Green Hill Zone and all that. So yeah, this was awesome, and I'm glad I was able to get that from him. Then I have the comic book version of Wonder Woman with the comic background. Again, I like these. I don't buy them often because they're the more expensive ones. But you know, when I can get them at a discount sale, I buy them because you know it's all about sale prices. And last but not least, Captain Marvel, Monica Rambeau. Okay, I see it. I'll get it in a minute. But yes, this one, and I will show the other one that ties into this. But yeah, I remember this was a Target exclusive. And one thing I hate is exclusives, store exclusives, when it's tied to a Target or a GameStop or a Walmart. And I'm like, man, just release it for everybody to get them. Because them store exclusives tend to go quick and they sell out. And then next you know, people are putting them on eBay for exorbitant amount of prices. Like, they super expensive. And I'm like, man, I hate store exclusives. But I was able to get this. And for the regular price. I ordered it online because I didn't want to miss out that FOMO, and again, was able to grab it. So, oh wait, matter of fact, I didn't get this online. It was another one that I got online, but this one I actually got from Comics Pop. Yeah, that's right. It was another one. I'm getting this confused with another one that I ordered online. But yeah, this one I was able to get. And now to finish it off, I had to grab this. It was on the shelf. I forgot to grab it, but I got the Monica Rambeau Captain Marvel, and then I got the Monica Rambeau from WandaVision. And this was the only WandaVision Funko Pop that I wanted. But yeah. And that's it. That is my entire Funko Pop collection. I hope you enjoyed this video. There's a little stumbles, but I did my best to get all the Funko Pops I had in my collection and show them all to this video. 26 minutes. So yeah, that's that. Happy 4th of July, and I hope y'all have a great weekend. See y'all in the next video. Peace.